My name is Jason Regan. I'm an ER physician. I work for the Choctaw Nation in Tallahassee, Oklahoma. I've been a member of First Baptist McAllister for 20 years, and 3 years ago, the Lord led me to serve on a missionary trip to Kenya, and He opened my eyes about serving as a short-term missionary in the medical field. And after some searching and praying and some doors opening and closing, I went with the IMB to Togo, Africa to serve as a short-term missionary at the Hospital of Hope. Serving as a short-term missionary in the hospital, my job was to help fill in for the long-term missionaries who were home on furlough. Many of them would travel home for 2 to 3 or 4 months to visit their home churches and sending groups, and my job was to make sure that the healthcare continued at that facility at a high level and to serve as a missionary on the short term. When I signed up, I originally didn't exactly know what to expect. A lot of the diseases that face the population there, we don't even have in the United States. So the population in Mongo, Togo is 80% Muslim, and 15% would be considered animalistic, or the local tribal beliefs, the earth, wind, sky, animals, water, sun stuff. And there are 46 different tribal groups, all speaking different languages. So communication was obviously a challenge. I had 2 interpreters that would travel with me to see patients from room to room and to care for people. I had to go from English to French and then French to tribal language to help the patients and figure out what they were there being seen for. And the way that we were able to share the gospel with these patients was we had an army of chaplains that had either from that tribal group or spoke that tribal language or spoke multiple tribal languages. And so the hospital was instrumental in having a chaplain who spoke every language, so every people group could be reached. And my job as a physician and the nurse's job and staff was to identify people who, were hurting or we could share the gospel with and be able to spread the message to them in a cultural way that they could receive or understand and be sensitive to their needs. One kind of stood out. A young mom had delivered a 28-week infant, and it was a male Muslim boy or a baby that was born, and the father was really upset because the infant didn't look like he was going to survive, and he was blaming the mom for the baby not going to be able to make it, and so the staff identified this, and we were helping the family with the chaplains to share with them, and the medical needs of the baby and were great, and it was nothing that anybody had done, but the father was blaming the mom for the baby not surviving, and the chaplains were able to share with the mom and just to be there with her, help her through this tough time, and help her to be able to return home and just share the love of Christ with her. And I really don't know what would happen if that hospital and the missionaries hadn't been there to help the mom as she dealt with this. I encourage you to pray about it, talk to a mentor, talk to other people who've served in the missionary field, and just to sit down and spend time with God, ask Him to make it clear, what His plan is for you, and to not be afraid, and to just say yes and just step through that door, because God has amazing things plan for each of us. We just have to say yes.